Can Doug DeMuro sell a trashed 97 Lamborghini Diablo Roadster on Cars and Bids? Or is this dumpster fire of a car headed straight to the reserve not met landfill? Let's find out. Bid Nerds is your daily YouTube car game show, where we predict the online auction results of the most interesting cars on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, Haggerty Marketplace, and more. It's just like the Price is Right game show. Play along and see if you can beat the nerds.
All right, JP. We selected for our amusement this 1997 Lamborghini Diablo VT Roadster that is currently on Cars and Bids. JP, our car looks like it's buried in the woods in Midfield, Maryland, showing 34,900 miles, but they're actually citing it as true mileage unknown. John, I know that Doug DeMuro and his Cars and Bids site have moved their market up, like they have leveled up over the last year, and we have, we've been chronologically, covering this as he's done well more and more with some exotic cars, including some Lamborghinis. But this car that found Doug, or the car that Doug found, just looks rough to me. There are some painted pieces in the interior that really dumb this car down. The yellow painted gated shifter, the yellow painted dash applique, the yellow piping and stuff like that. The chin spoiler, the wheels being black. There's just something about this car that looks really cheap. You would be forgiven for asking the question, is it real or is it a fake? Because it just doesn't look the part to me. So I just think if you've got a rare Lamborghini with a manual, you'd be smart to sell it now. I think the market for a car like this is really hot. And as such, I think you would go get the car serviced, go get the car professionally detailed, and go get the car professionally shot. And I don't think any of that stuff was done here. And these photos are terrible. The car looks rough. And I just think this is going to be a massively missed opportunity for the seller to part with his car. And I don't blame him or fault him for taking it to Cars and Bids. I think this car in this colorway would do well. But if you have the stock parts or you have the ability to put the car back to the way it would have looked when it came off the showroom floor, I think that would help a lot. Now, I'd be eating my words if that yellow plastic gated shifter came from Lamborghini. I'll do that. But based on my experience, which is not tremendous with Lamborghini, I don't think it was born this way. And I think that these things that they did to the car really cheapen it. And look at that, John. I mean, why wouldn't you go get that fixed if you've got a $250,000 car or more? And so this is RUFF rough. John, when we started the show, Cars and Bids was in its infancy, and it really didn't compare well to Bring a Trailer. Oftentimes we saw really poor photos that were taken with undesirable backgrounds in like parking lots with trash cans and things of that nature. And we always wondered why Doug didn't do a better job of having like a bouncer with a red rope in front of his auction site saying, "You shall not pass. You cannot come in with that poor photography or with that shitty car. How can you park a Geo Metro that's up on jacks on a front lawn next to a Ferrari if you want to make both customers happy?" The Ferrari seller is not going to be happy having his car listed next to a piece of shit. And this car in these photos looks like a piece of shit, and I don't understand why Cars and Bids didn't say, "Hey man, we have no market for that. Like you're basically wholesaling that car on here, and that's not what we're about." And I think you have to do that to protect your brand, and that's not happening here. So I picked this car, John, so we could talk about this. At what point do you draw the line in the sand and you go, hell no? So JP, I send it back to you. What do you see when you're here? What do you think? Would you take a different stance than I would, or how would you handle it? If you're put yourself in Doug DeMuro's shorts and a graphic tee, and what would you do? Look, put those wheels on the car. Look how much better that would happen if you put those dark nickel finish wheels.
Doug
So JP, I send it to you.
Shorts. What is in those cargo pockets? Man?
Yeah,
I don't know, but he's definitely getting larger.
Yeah. So what do you think, John? Talk to me,
is
baby.
This a viscous? Is this a 4-wheel drive one, or is this?
Yeah.
God,
No, it's rear-wheel drive.
It is the
JP.
rear-wheel drive.
It's rear-wheel
Okay, that's
drive.
good because the viscous transmission ones, like nobody makes the parts for anymore, and like that's anyways.
Time out. JP, the car's front drive shaft and front axles have been removed, and these parts are pictured in the gallery and included in the sale. So you're right. He couldn't get the parts, and he just took them off the car. So.
Yeah. There's certain things on this car that like literally no one makes anymore. Especially so. I don't. Yeah. Look, I've said it before. I say it all the time on the show. The criteria is 3 points. There is the cosmetics. There are the mechanical factors of the car, and then there's the price. You have to have 2 out of 3. This car cosmetically is pretty rough. Mechanically, I'm a little scared. So that's 2 out of 3 already. This thing is going to have to be so dang cheap to make it worth it. But if you could get it now. Okay, I don't really care if it's all-wheel drive. If pulling the front axles out and all that stuff, if you can drive it that way, fine. This would be a lot of fun if you could buy this car for $50,000 or whatever and rock a Diablo and just beat the living hell out of it. There's a certain flex to that. But if you can afford to own this car, ironically, that's the only way that this car makes sense. Otherwise, if you're expecting to get a nice car and restore this and make it something that's like a legitimate car, forget it. It's just too far gone. Rami, what do you think of this car?
I completely agree with you. It looks like a sneaker. It's a ridiculous looking car. And why are the tires so small? This thing, Jack 2. Great.
If SpongeBob was a transformer, right? Like
totally. Yeah. Absolutely. Perfect. And why is it so banged up? Like, what? I don't understand. Like, it's just got so many cracks and dings and weird things put on it.
Like I said, I think someone was just flex. They're like, I'm so damn rich, I can just beat up my Diablo. What do you think, Sahan?
I think the Wolf of Wall Street drove it.
Totally.
Well, I think Buddha is
on his Quaaludes.
Yeah, Buddha thinks that the car did too much cocaine. I think the driver was doing too much cocaine and driving the car, and that's what happened here. And he kept on thinking it was cool because he was loaded every time he drove it, and he didn't notice that it was actually a pile of shit.
This thing's amazing.
How many miles does it have on it, Michael?
It's on rails, bro.
34,000 true mileage unknown.
I am amazed that this car has survived long enough to take this kind of abuse. I mean, you look at one of these funny and they break. I'm just like, wow, this car still runs, and I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of intrigued. It's gonna be really interesting to see what the numbers are.
I had a friend who had one of these in Phoenix, and he said he would drive it to the country club and have a flatbed waiting because it would never return.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. Yeah, wherever you're going, you're probably not going to get back.
No, you might not even get there.
Yeah.
JP, I'll tell you this. This is a 1997 Lamborghini with 34,000 miles on it that needs a complete restoration.
Yes.
Yeah. Or, like I said, drive out ironically and wear the same sweatshirt that you're wearing and rock it. And just, I mean, look at you. You're ready to go. Is that why you picked this car?
You belong on there.
Holy crap. Like we said, we're going to be off the rails or on rails on this episode.
Lots of rails.
What do we think this yellow turd is going to bring? Randy B is at $265,000, and Randy B is very often right. The Spud Syndicate leader up there is bringing it. Michael D, what's going to happen?
All right, so JP, our car closes tomorrow on Cars and Bids. Again, it's located in Medfield, Maryland, and showing 34,000 miles, but true mileage unknown. The car is at $105,500 on 28 bids. So this car is getting a lot of attention from the catfish who are trying to steal this thing. But I don't think it's going to go much further at all. JP, I'm going to give you my final bid of $135,000, and I'm telling you right now, the person who pays that and wins this pile of junk is going to be buried in that car. That car is a money pit, and I would avoid it. I know we tend not to give advice. We pretend like we don't know what we're talking about. Stay away from this car. Even ironically, that car needs $75,000 worth of motor work, not to mention all the ancillary systems that aren't working on it right now. That just stay away from this thing.
You're saying $100,000 worth of work on that thing?
At
All
least.
in? Yeah,
And
I mean,
that's
if
if
it
you're not
were-
going to touch the cosmetics.
I don't think you bother trying to restore this car. I think that's the point of this car. If you just keep it running, minimum whatever you
Put a
got to do to keep it
Mercedes
running,
V12 in it.
and just drive it and beat the crap out of it. Even that doesn't make sense. Swapping the engine, just whatever you got, just only put money in the mechanical side of it. Who cares what it looks like? And just thumb your nose
Why
at
does it look-
everyone. This is like the guy in the smoking a cigar and flipping everyone off at the country club. There's something fun about this.
Yeah.
But
It just looks sad. It looks like
it
tragic.
is sad.
It's a tragic car.
Change the wheels and
Yeah.
and it looks 100% better. I wouldn't even fix the front valance. I would park it outside and hopefully get the paint to kind of start patinaing to make it look like it's been, let's get the clear coat to start failing. Let's just park this, I don't know, next to a bus station or something like that. Just drive it to 7-Eleven, drive it everywhere until it burns down and collect the insurance money. Michael Deeb, your price was what? 135?
135.
I'm going 140 and it's going to sell. And if I had the extra money, 140 grand, I'd buy it. What say you,
Oh my
Sahan?
I love how every single gasket on the outside of this car is blown out.
Yeah, totally.
Sticking out all
It's like-
wonky, just all over. Yeah, exactly. Like it's blue. It also looks like there's overspray on what looks to be the spray nozzle for the headlight. On one side it's yellow, and on the other side it's black.
It's black. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so
Perfect.
I think this car will bring all of $115,000.
Wow.
And then I think whoever buys this car will have to buy a bunch of cocaine in order to deal with the woes that are going to come.
Or just be on it. Yeah.
Again, irony here, guys. If you can't afford this car, definitely stay away. But if you have a dozen other supercars or whatever, this would be a ton of fun. I want this car, and then you get a license plate that's not Fiero. You'd have to convince everyone that this is actually a real. Everyone would be like, "That's a kit," and you're
Kit car.
lift open the hood, and everyone's "Oh fuck, this really is a real one." Sorry, I just dropped an F-bomb. Everybody ruined the monetization. All right, has everybody got their numbers in?
No, Rami, where you at?
Oh, I forgot. I was so torn up by the car. I couldn't tell. Why is the e-brake on the left side? What is wrong with this thing? Oh my
Well, they're
God.
all. That's where they all
like
are.
that. Yeah.
It's like a 944 or a bunch of other cars.
This car, it's ridiculous. It's 121.
Do you think it's
Rami,
121?
will you drop it from a helicopter for us?
I would drive from. You know what I would do? I would drive from a helicopter, then burn it, and then shoot it with a missile, and then drive a plane into it.
See, that's the kind of flex. That's the kind of flex thing that I'm saying. If you got the money to do that, drive it until
So Rami,
it
buy
can't. Drive it until it won't drive anymore, and then just make it internet gold by blowing it up and doing. And let's go get
Yeah,
the
like
helicopter and let's
diesel,
drop this
whatever,
one.
yeah.
When we dropped the 914
Rami-
from the helicopter, we did go buy another 914 without an engine. Drop that one instead.
Very
but
movie.
It's going to be a hard time to find another Diablo that's for $1,500. Oh man, I so want this car. I'm so excited.
I want it now too. I want to take it and just drive it to Red Rock Country Club.
Yes, that's right. We would put this in the middle of Auto Fest, and it would be we would charge. Here's what we do: have this car on the middle of the
Yes.
You know how we always
On
have
the green.
on the green, not just the green, the tee off, right? The main spot.
Yeah.
And just basically because we always support a charity, right? Just be $10, you can throw an egg at this Diablo. How much money would we get doing that? We'd pay for the car.
And at the end, I run it over like Bigfoot with my Defender.
Exactly. And then the helicopter can land next to it and crash like it almost did last time.
Yeah.
All right.
Or pick it up.
Let's move on to the next car. If you guys have some numbers, start throwing some numbers at us. Sergeant Tom thinks $120. Yeah, it's rough. Gerd thinks it's getting to 210. Really?
210.
I mean, okay.
Wow.
If it were clean and nice, D, what are we talking? Like $250,000 car? For a nice one?
Okay, so the numbers on this car are as follows. Fair condition would be 200. Good condition would be 300. The average price for these is around 335. If it was excellent, over 400, and if it was Concours with like no miles on it, it would bring $500,000. But the average price is $335,000.
All right. So
this car is seriously back a book.
Yeah. But still awesome. All right, let us know what you think. Let us put it in the comments below. Almost as cool as an MR2, right? All right, what's the next car?
A CRV.
It's hard to imagine, John, but the MR2 was in better condition. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was.
What is it with all the yellow cars lately, too? I think it's because of your sweatshirt. It's just like gleaming off on all of us here. What is happening?
I'm just gonna like put the rat on the table and say Sahand is the common thread. Okay.
I did not suggest this car.
Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Goden Porsche of Las Vegas and Goden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Goden. This guy.
1989 linen gray metallic G50 cab.
Is that gonna be for sale?
It is going to be for sale. The car only has 65,000 miles on it.
Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Goden Porsche of Las Vegas. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair.
Several days later.
This is a car that unanimously we would all love to drive and own, but this one has been ridden rough and put away wet and left out in the cold as we found it on Cars and Bids, a 97 Lamborghini Diablo VT Roadster showing 34,900 mileage, but listed at true mileage unknown. A closer inspection of the photos show that this car has been parked and scraped and scratched and eaten in and literally parked outside. It's just... so many, we like to call them, crypto bros or douche canoes that buy these cars, the Nouveau Reach set, wax them and drive them and show off with them so that they can get bottle service and pick up chicks. This car looks like it's just like hippie owned and not cared for at all, and just mildly amusing to say the least. So we all argued about how low a car like this would go, and would it be a restoration candidate, or as you had argued, no, dude, you drive it ironically, you just buy it, make sure that it'll get you home, and then just drive the snot out of it just like it is, and that's the flex. Like, I've got to beat up Lamborghini, who cares? So, JP, you could not have been more astute on that one. So I started the bidding at $135,000. You took the over at $140,000. Rami, who we all thought might buy the car, took it at $121,000, taking the under. And Sahand went further south still at just $115,000. Now, JP, you're on the cutting edge there. Is anybody coming in with some of the old bids? Is Randy sending those through? Here they come.
Bids from Randy.
Here,
yet,
I got him.
I
got him. I got him.
Okay.
I got him. 265 by Randy. Anthony was at 170. Chris was at 130. George at 197. Gerd at 210. Michael at 140. I think that's Buddha. And then Sahand, we had a 115. Oh, was he reading ours? No. And then SGT Tom, 120, and V12 at 189. So JP, it's interesting because our car did sell on Cars and Bids. It took 50 bids to get to $153,000, but that's where the bidding stopped, and that was a winning bid. John, you're the closest in studio, so you get the win on the sheets. I'm trying to see if anybody in the cuts. So Michael, who I think is Buddha, it was at 140. He matched your bid. He would share the win with you, and that's as close as it got. A lot of high bids in the comments, John. Do you understand why they bid so high, or like, because at 135, 140, you and I were in the set. Rami and Sahand, maybe we talked them down. They laughed at the car and didn't think it would go very far. But this car is running, and it's there. It's all there. It's still a Lamborghini, but it wasn't a $200,000 car, not by any stretch. So, are you surprised by the result, and are you surprised by the peanut or the spud, the nerd herd?
Spud Syndicate, nerd herd, all of the above. Hey, shout out to the nerd herd. Looks like we got some new nerds in there. Look, let's see here. Scott Derrickson, Passbon, Cajun. I don't know if I'm saying any of these right, but welcome to the new nerds that are hanging out in the herd. Love having you in the group. No, I'm not surprised by this result. Like I said on the other half, on the last episode, look, it's still a Diablo. This thing still is a Lamborghini. It still is the 12-cylinder. It still has all those things. Yeah, it's all beat up. But I think this is the kind of car that there's still a flex to drive something like this, even when it's beat to hell. And I think there's even a flex driving it because it's beat to hell. There's something about rolling up in this thing and just like, I don't care. It's like dropping the mic. It's like, what? What do you got? A clean Huracan? Whoopity-doo. I'm so goddamn flex that I can roll a Diablo and curb the wheels. Like, how awesome would that? Like, go to the Cars and Coffee and literally on purpose just grind, the front rim down the concrete curb right in front of everybody and just be like looking at them while you're doing it. Just you just like, I don't care. I know I'm doing it.
Yeah, but I agree with that, and it's cartoonish by nature. But like the idea that you could go to Cars and Coffee in a pair of blue jeans, grab a coffee, and then just jump up on the hood of your car and sit on it and not give a rat's ass, and everybody else will be like, oh, and then realize like, who cares? Or literally open up a bag of like donuts on the wing and just start eating off the back of the wing, which we do on our 911s all the time, anyways. But our 911s are not, $250,000 Diablos, and that would be the flex. It's just treat it like it was a Volkswagen, and I think that'd be hilarious.
And drive the living hell out of it and not care, because like, how many millions of times have we been on the Crest, right? Or Malibu, or any of the places where people drive, like, here in Vegas there's drivers, but in LA that's where all the cars are, right? I have never seen a Diablo in the wild driving. I've seen them at Cars and Coffees and car shows and stuff like that, but I've never seen anyone ripping on one. I've seen 959s, I've seen F40s, Singers, all the really expensive stuff, but never Diablo. And I think it's mostly because people are afraid that they're going to break. And because they don't want to scratch the dang thing. So this one, who cares on either case? So
it's both of those. Both of those answers are right. That it could break and leave them stranded. Yeah. And then the other one is that most guys that own one that are nice would die if their car got a scratch. Like, oh, I got a chip. I'm like, that's cool. Right. And they just don't see it that way. That's like having a stain on their Ed Hardy shirt.
We had Cars and Cafe in the Arts District this morning. Always the last.
How'd that go?
It went great. Even though it was Easter, so turnout was light, but still a really good showing. Very surprised. Weather was great, and it still never rains in Vegas. Nice. But I don't know. I was standing there with some guys, and they started to have that conversation about whether or not they paint the front clip and the vinyl covering, and I don't want to get it scratched. It's like,
oh my God.
Oh, what are you guys doing here? Just get out of here. Shut up. Just stop. Just drive these things. Just come to the show, spill coffee on it. And shout out to Tony Mazzagatti, because he had his 904 there, right?
Nice.
And we didn't have a coffee truck this morning. We couldn't get a coffee truck because it was Easter. None of the coffee guys wanted to come out on the holiday. So I literally went to Starbucks in the ghetto this morning as people, like literally across the street from jail, as people are getting bailed out Sunday morning in Las Vegas. You can imagine that crowd, right? So I've got these 3 jugs of coffee, and I get to the show. I'm late to my own damn show. And it's like, where are we going to put these? And Tony's like, just put them on the roof of the 904. I'm like, what? No. We just literally had all 3 of these jugs and all the sugar packets, and people are just like, and they were so full when he opened it that squirted coffee all down the side of his car. I was like, whatever. Tony's the man.
Tony gets it.
There are people that would freak the F out just to put a cup up there, much less all the. So anyways, shout out. Yeah. Thanks for everybody that showed up to the show this morning. May
26th. We're gonna tease the first tease. May 26th is this last Sunday of May, and Cars and Cafe San Francisco will return across Golden Gate Bridge. That's all I'll give you for now, but we'll keep talking about it as we get closer. We get 2 months until Cars und Cafe returns to the Bay Area.
Looking forward to that. Maybe we'll have to make a trip up there from here.
Big shout out to the Porsche crowd to come We want
Hell
Porsches.
yeah.
We want it to return to a Porsche show. Even if other cars come, they're welcome. But I do want it to be Porsche heavy, and it has not been Porsche heavy.
Well, before we move on to the next car, let us know what you think of the results of that beat-up Lamborghini. Would you rock that thing if you had the money to do it ironically, or would you buy that thing and try to restore it back to original and make it nice? Or do you think that that was just dumb, stupid money that people spent on that thing and somebody wasted all their cash and should have bought, I don't know, Bitcoin or something like that? Let us know in the comments below. And what was the next car on the list? Hey guys, thanks for watching this clip of the Bid Nerds podcast. Play along with us live every Sunday and Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. on YouTube. And see if your bids stack up to the rest of the nerd herd in the chat live. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Get those nerds!